Hello, everyone. I hope I'm audible. My name is Stephanie Walker, Director of the Office of Challenge Programs, and I welcome you to this informational webinar for new recipients of the Infrastructure and Capacity Building Challenge Grants, or ICB for short. Congratulations on your successful applications. Your organization is one of 13 whose project was approved for funding out of 47 submissions to the May 2021 deadline, which comes to an overall success rate of about 28%. Before moving to challenge staff introductions, let me call on Allison Scher, NEH's Director of Congressional Affairs, who has joined us to say a few words. Allison?
Thanks, Stephanie. Congratulations to you all. I just wanted to briefly introduce myself as the new Director of Congressional Affairs. I joined the agency as of just in the past October. I just wanted to introduce myself and kind of highlight for you all information that you will be getting from myself and my office regarding encouragement for you to engage with your congressional delegation. We are developing a one-page guide to congressional engagement to help you all work with your senators or members of Congress and their staffs to invite them to your project, to highlight the work that you all are doing. Believe it or not, Congress cares an awful lot about the important work that you all are doing, and we want to help you learn the best way to reach out and to make contact and just basically highlight and show how NEH's funding is making an on-the-ground impact. So I just wanted to say hi briefly, let you know that resources will be coming your way, hopefully in the next couple weeks, and that I am here and my team is here to help you with any questions that you all may have on working with Congress. Again, congratulations to you all, and I will turn it back over to Stephanie.
Thanks very much, Allison, and thanks for the useful information. We have an excellent dedicated challenge programs team ready to serve your needs, answer questions, and resolve any issues with your grants that may arise. Please don't be shy in reaching out to us. I'm now going to ask each of the staff to introduce themselves. Then we will start the webinar touching on several practical topics regarding your NEH award and end with a period of questions from you. And I want to let you know that the webinar will be recorded and posted on the ICB webpage for you to rewatch or share with colleagues. John, over to you.
Okay, welcome everyone. I'm John Cox, Senior Program Officer in the Office of Challenge Programs. We're glad that you could join us today, and we're looking forward to working with each of you over the coming months. Tatiana?
Hi everyone, I am Tatiana Ausuma. I am a Senior Program Officer in the division, and I'm also looking forward to working with all of you over the next few months with your projects.
And Will?
Good afternoon, everyone. Will Fenton, Program Officer in the Office of Challenge Programs. I specialize in digital infrastructure, and I look forward to being helpful however I can. Thanks so much.
Thanks. And Jess?
Hi, everyone. I'm Jess Unger. I'm the Program Analyst here in the Office of Challenge Programs.
Hi, everyone. I am Pamela Thompson, your Grant Administrator for Challenge Grants, and I am with the Office of Grant Management.
And good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ann Peason. I am NEH's Historic Preservation and Environmental Officer, also with the Office of Grants Management. John?
Thanks. So we are just a small part of the crack team at NEH that works together to help administer your grant. We are truly here to help, and hope that you feel comfortable contacting us throughout the period of your project. Today's webinar is intended to provide a basic orientation to your challenge grant, including what to expect when you receive your formal offer letter, meeting the terms and conditions in your offer letter, beginning fundraising and certifying matches, starting your project, and communicating with NEH. A few housekeeping items before we get started. As you can see, Microsoft Teams does not allow for participants to use audio or video. If you have questions or if there are technical issues that come up during the presentation, please send a note using the question box. We will be monitoring questions as they come in, and we will have a period of Q&A after the webinar concludes. When asking a question, please include your name and institution so that we can follow up with you if necessary. During the Q&A session, we'll focus on general questions that might pertain to multiple projects. If you have questions about your specific project, until you have access to EGMS Reach, please reach out to us via email to your program officer or to challenge@neh.gov to set up a phone or video call with us. I should also note that since this is intended to be a general overview, there may be some elements that do not apply to your particular project. This may be especially true for digital infrastructure projects. On the other hand, you may discover that there was part of the webinar that you need to rewatch or share with a colleague. Within a few days, we'll email you a recording of this webinar and make it available on our website. If you have worked with a federal partner before, you know that we love acronyms and shorthand. Late last week, project directors and institutional grant administrators should have received an emailed copy of our glossary for challenge grants. We will also try our best to define terms as we go along today, so having the glossary handy is not a requirement, but it may help demystify some of the terms and conditions that are referenced today. If a term is ever unclear, please use the question box to ask, and we'll try to respond or clarify. The glossary also includes a link to the Administration of Challenge Grants manual, as well as NEH's general terms and conditions. These can be found on the NEH website, pictured here, under Manage Your Award. This section of the NEH website also contains helpful links to other policy documents and NEH guidance, such as reporting requirements, certification forms, and publicity guidance. Our website will always have the most up-to-date versions of these forms and documents, so while the glossary is a handy reference, please remember to consult the website for specific guidance. Infrastructure and capacity building challenge grants have been offered since 2018. Your project is one of 13 recommended in this cycle for funding, and you join a distinguished group of over 100 ICB grantees in various phases of their challenge grant. The program is intended to promote fundraising for high-impact, long-lasting initiatives that support humanities efforts nationwide. Supported activities have included the fabrication and installation of permanent exhibition infrastructure, the construction of a new public library, costs related to the construction of a University Institute of Arts and Humanities, construction of a humanities center to encourage public humanities engagement, and preservation of historical sound recordings. The Successful Challenge project has a number of phases and milestones along the way. You've already completed some of these steps: pre-planning, submitted an application, and making it through review. Right now, you're awaiting for your formal offer letter from NEH. This is the document that will lay out the terms and conditions of your award. This will arrive via our EGMS Reach system, which we'll discuss today, and will include terms and conditions required for you to receive an award from NEH. The offer letter and next steps will be the main focus of today's webinar. Please know that we are here to help your project succeed. In order to do that, it's important for you to know the roles and responsibilities of both NEH staff and your project team. Each project has an assigned program officer who will be your point of contact for the programmatic objectives of your project. Through your reports, phone calls, and messages, program officers will monitor the implementation of your project and ensure that you have the resources and coordination to address conditions of the award. Program officers are available to answer programmatic questions such as how to address changes in schedule or work plan, staff, or scope, and we will review your performance reports each year. Each project also has an assigned grants management specialist, sometimes known as a grants administrator, in NEH's Office of Grant Management. And if your project involves construction, renovation, or ground disturbance, you will work with our Federal Preservation and Environmental Officer. Pam Thompson of NEH's Office of Grant Management will be your NEH GMS. She's your point of contact for financial and grants management, monitoring, and technical assistance, and is responsible for issuing your offer letter, approving certified gifts, and processing changes such as a revised budget, changes in project director, adjustments to project scope, or award extensions. Ann Peason, the Federal Preservation and Environmental Officer for NEH, will be your point of contact for all federally mandated reviews, such as compliance with Section 106 of the National Historic Preservation Act and the National Environmental Policy Act. She also provides technical assistance on construction and property requirements, such as Davis-Bacon, the Build America, Buy America, procurement, bonding, and federal interest. NEH requires challenge grant recipients to identify two key participants, the project director and institutional grants administrator. Most of you are probably your institutional project director. The project director is the person responsible for the programmatic aspects and day-to-day management of the project. The project director will submit performance reports to NEH. The institutional grant administrator, or IGA, is responsible for the administration of the NEH award, which includes monitoring the project budget and ensuring compliance with the terms and conditions of the award. The IGA is responsible for submitting certified gifts and financial reports to NEH. Both the project director and institutional grant administrator will be required to access NEH's EGMS REACH system to review and submit documents, respond to messages, and manage the award. Your EGMS REACH account will become active as soon as your offer letter and associated documents are ready. Once your account is active, it's essential that you route your communications and documents through the EGMS REACH system. Messages will go to the entire NEH team working with your project and will automatically update if NEH staff change. Messages and documents also are automatically entered in your official award file. All communications need to come from the PD or IGA, and you may not delegate this role to another staff member or share login information without NEH approval. When you receive notification that your offer is awaiting an EGMS, please log in to review the files and familiarize yourself with the EGMS portal. The first document that will be visible in EGMS REACH is your offer of support. When you receive the offer letter, please do the following. Read your offer letter. It's very important to carefully read this letter and the documents referenced in it. The NEH General Terms and Conditions, the administration of NEH Challenge Infrastructure and Capacity Building Grants, the 2 CFR Part 200, provide information about managing your award and accessing funds, record keeping and reporting requirements, gift eligibility, actions requiring prior approval from NEH, and more. The offer letter provides links to these documents, and they are also available on the NEH website. An offer is not an award or a guarantee of an award. An offer formally communicates the level of funding approved for the project, the third-party non-federal gifts that must be raised and certified, and the conditions that must be met before an award can be made. Only when these requirements are met will an award of federal matching funds be issued, and only when an award is issued may you begin to draw down funds for allowable project costs. Your offer letter will include a period of performance, which is the time period in which you are performing the activities and incurring allowable costs associated with the award, and a fundraising period. The period of performance and the funding period are separate but overlapping timelines. Please note that this slide shows a sample timeline. Yours will depend upon the needs of your particular project. As you look at your offer letter, please review all the dates and ensure that they align with your proposed work plan and any internal timelines that you have for your project. If they do not align, or if your project work plan has changed since your application was submitted to NEH, please let us know. Your work plan, fundraising schedule, and period of performance should all align and reflect the time necessary to complete activities proposed in your application. For this round of challenge grants, the period of performance cannot start earlier than March 1st, 2022. Your offer letter will also include a gifts and matching schedule, which will list NEH's offer of federal matching funds, the matching ratio, the required third-party non-federal gifts to be raised, and the total budget for each year of your project. For example, perhaps NEH has offered you $500,000 in matching funds requiring $1.5 million in non-federal third-party gifts. Your certification schedule might indicate that you need to raise $150,000 in the first year in order to release $50,000 in matching funds, but then require $450,000 of gifts in the second year to release $150,000 in matching funds. This schedule should work in conjunction with your fundraising schedule and your work plan so that you have the time you need to raise the gifts necessary by each deadline. As I mentioned, two things need to occur to make an offer an award and to allow you to draw down funds. The first is that you must begin to fundraise and certify gifts to meet the NEH matching requirement. Again, when you receive your offer letter, please review the funding schedule showing your annual certification requirement. This is included in the offer letter and is also in EGMS Reach. The annual deadline for certification is July 31st, but please certify gifts as soon as you have them, even if they exceed your annual requirement. NEH may be able to release federal matching funds ahead of schedule. If you are unable to meet your annual deadline of July 31st for gift certification, it is important to notify NEH early. Otherwise, that annual amount may be forfeited and your total award amount may be reduced accordingly. The fundraising period for this cycle of challenge grants began on December 19th, 2020, which was 5 months prior to the application deadline, and will continue through the final year of your period of performance. Many of you have certified gifts or are already fundraising, which is great. For most projects, you will see that your first gift certification is due by July 31st, 2022. The certification of matching gifts for challenge grants form can be found on the program resources page for infrastructure and capacity building challenge grants, or under organizations on the Manage Your Grant portion of the NEH website. For gifts over $5,000, please submit donor documentation along with certification form. Gifts under $5,000 do not require donor documentation. It's useful to certify your gifts as soon as you have them, but please don't submit certification forms more than 3 times per fiscal year. That is, if you receive gifts that exceed your annual schedule, it's best to go ahead and certify those gifts. But don't submit a form for every $1,000 gift that you receive. Again, certify early, but no more than 3 times each year. Completed certification forms and supporting documentation must be uploaded to EGMS Reach. Once documentation has been received, NEH staff will review it to ensure all pledges and gifts are eligible and appropriate. Further guidance on submitting the certification form and eligible third-party non-federal gifts is available under the Administration of NEH Challenge Infrastructure and Capacity Building Grants, again also located under the Manage Your Grant section of the NEH website. In addition to certifying gifts, the second thing that must occur for NEH to issue an award and allow the drawdown of funds is that all conditions of the offer letter must be met. Each challenge project is unique, and as a result, each offer letter has different terms and conditions. NEH staff will work with each of you individually as you submit required materials. However, we want to offer a general overview of the types of conditions that you are likely to encounter, especially as it relates to projects proposing any type of construction or ground disturbing activities. We want to support you in meeting these conditions quickly so that you are able to implement your project without delays and have the funds released as soon as you certify your gifts. The next few slides show some common conditions that you may see in your offer letter. The most common condition of the offer letter is a request for a revised budget. This may be due to a calculation error in the application, the need for additional information about a particular budget line, or a total project cost that is above or below the amount requested. For purposes of your offer and award budget, there is no distinction between federal matching funds and certified non-federal gifts. For example, if your NEH offer is $500,000 and you are required to raise $3 for every $1 of NEH matching funds, your budget should reflect exactly $2 million of eligible expenses. All items must be eligible and appropriate and within the scope of the project as described in your application. If any items on your original budget were ineligible, or if the total cost is above or below the amount of NEH funding plus certified non-federal gifts, a revised budget will be required. Another common reason for a revised budget is that the SF424C budget information for construction programs or the budget justification requires additional explanation. NEH may ask for a further breakdown of particular line items, such as staff salaries, or ask for the cost basis used to calculate certain expenses, such as square foot per item, etc. If you have existing information that provides this, we're more than happy to review it before asking for additional preparation. We know that for many of you, NEH funding and certified gifts account for a small portion of the overall project costs. If you have questions or concerns related to the project or fundraising, please reach out to us directly. I'll now pass the microphone to my colleague, Ann Peason.
Thank you, John. Hopefully I don't have an echo here. But another common condition included with the offer letter relates to NEH's requirement to comply with the National Historic Preservation Act and the National Environmental Policy Act. NEH is required by federal law to review grant applications involving construction, renovation, repair, or ground or visual disturbance under Section 106 of the National Historic Preservation Act, which we call Section 106, and the National Environmental Policy Act, also referred to as NEPA. Your offer letter will contain Section 106 and NEPA conditions if they are applicable to your project. Please keep in mind that if you do have a Section 106 or NEPA condition for your challenge grant project, your organization cannot begin any physical work on the project, including site clearance, and NEH cannot release any federal funds until we complete the Section 106 and NEPA reviews. Pre-construction work such as planning, design, permitting, and compliance with Section 106 and NEPA can be done with project funds. We will schedule a conference call with your team to discuss the circumstances of your particular project, which John will speak to more about in a little bit. Next slide. Thank you. Section 106 of the National Historic Preservation Act and its implementing regulations at 36 CFR Part 800 requires NEH to consider whether a federally funded project is a Section 106 undertaking, if it will have an effect on historic properties, and if the effect will be adverse. Application of Section 106 to your organizations, and the delegation letter is available through the Infrastructure and Capacity Building Challenge Grants resource page on the NEH website with additional details. Projects with the following activities will require completion of a Section 106 review before we can issue an award and before work can begin. And that includes all new construction and facility expansion projects, alteration and renovation projects where exterior changes to the building facade or surroundings may be made, including roof, windows, and parking lots. Projects where interior renovations may be made to a building that is over 50 years old or is historically, architecturally, or culturally significant, and ground disturbances such as grading or other site preparation or archaeology. Next. So let's talk a little bit about NEPA. NEPA and its implementing regulations at 40 CFR Part 1500 requires NEH to consider the potential effects of a federally funded project on a natural and human environment prior to the expenditure of NEH funds. While the vast majority of NEH projects will not require additional reviews under NEPA, projects that have extraordinary circumstances or do not fall within our categorical exclusions may require preparation of a concise environmental assessment. Next. So please keep in mind that NEH is not physically on site and we don't have the intimate details of your project, and therefore we do need your help in completing our Section 106 and NEPA reviews. You are a critical part of this process. The information and cooperation you provide can make this process easier and go more quickly. Recipients may use challenge grant funds to complete Section 106 and NEPA compliance. And if you don't have staff to do these types of tasks, you are certainly allowed to hire a consultant or contractor to help you. These are allowable costs. Again, NEPA and Section 106 must be completed by NEH prior to initiating ground disturbance, construction, and renovation work. Non-construction pre-planning work is allowable. And there is a technical assistance webinar which goes into great exciting detail on this, and that is available on the NEH website at the address shown on your screen, and it's also available through the infrastructure resource page. Next slide. The final condition that is often listed on offer letters pertains to federal interest. When a recipient uses NEH funds to purchase land or buildings or to construct or renovate a facility, it creates what is called a federal interest. And this is a property right which secures the right of the federal agency, in this case NEH, to recover its funding in the event, which will never happen, that the property is no longer used for humanities purposes within the federal interest period. And this federal interest period extends 5 years after the end of the period of performance end date. During the period of federal interest, all recipients with projects involving property acquisition and construction or renovation are required to submit what is called the Annual Real Property Status Report in eGMS Reach. And recipients who receive federal matching funds greater than $500,000 are also required to attach a lien to their property called a Notice of Federal Interest. The Notice of Federal Interest will expire 5 years from the NEH award period of performance end date. Please refer to the Administration of Challenge Infrastructure and Capacity Building Grants for awards issued after 2022 for additional detailed information. Next. And as John indicated earlier, in addition to the conditions, your offer letter will also reference several other federal requirements that apply to federally funded construction projects. It is your responsibility as recipients to familiarize yourself with the requirements and keep associated, either directly referenced in your offer letter or incorporated by reference to 2 CFR Part 200. And apply to construction and renovation contracting. Please ensure your construction contracts comply with the requirements in 2 CFR 200 for general procurement standards, which includes documenting procurement procedures, ensuring you have contract clauses that are required in your contracts, maintaining proper contract oversight, avoiding conflicts of interest, and record keeping. The Build America, Buy America Act, which is new, and this is a brand new requirement beginning May 14th, 2022. NEH may not obligate funds for a project involving construction, renovation, or facility infrastructure unless there is an assurance that all the iron, steel, manufacture project, and construction materials that the project uses are produced in the United States. And NEH will provide additional guidance as it is available. So there's also Davis-Bacon, which has been a long-standing federal requirement specific to NEH, which requires that laborers, mechanics, and contractors or subcontractors on a NEH-supported construction project shall be paid prevailing Davis-Bacon wages as determined by the Secretary of Labor, ensuring fair and open competition for procurement. And with that, additional information and resources on all of these conditions and requirements are available on our Infrastructure and Capacity Building Challenge Grants resource page. And with that, I'm turning back the presentation to John. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Ann. So once you receive your offer letter, you should accept or decline that offer promptly. The offer letter includes a date, in fact, by which you must accept the offer, usually within several weeks. That does not mean you have to meet all of the conditions within that time period. It just means that you accept the offer with the conditions listed. You have a longer period to meet the conditions, of course. Once you've accepted the offer, your project enters the offer stage, where it will remain until you've met the conditions, such as a revised budget or Section 106 review, and certified some gifts, at which point it officially becomes an award. In a few weeks from now, once you've received your offer letter, your NEH program officer will reach out in order to schedule a meeting between NEH staff and each project director, institutional grant administrator, and other project staff you would like to include in order to discuss the specific conditions, funding schedule, project timeline, and other requirements with you and your team. As I mentioned, every offer letter will be unique, and you will see slightly different terms and conditions depending upon the scope of the activities proposed in your application. Digital infrastructure projects, for example, will not include conditions related to historic preservation, and interior-only renovations are less likely to trigger an environmental review. We've already stressed the importance of using EGMS Reach to communicate to ensure that all of the pertinent staff members can see your questions and documents. While we want to be kept up to date about any changes you think are important, I want to emphasize that there are a few key situations that require prior approval that you should be sure to let us know about as soon as possible. These include anticipated changes to the budget, project scope, key personnel, or significant changes to your timeline for fundraising or work plan that might result in an extension or modified certification schedule. We want to work with you to avoid any pitfalls, but the best way to do that is with regular communication. We know that challenge projects can be complicated and may meet with unexpected changes or delays. We know this is a lot to take in, and many of you are probably wondering about next steps. First, don't forget that you can start fundraising immediately. If you have gifts on hand to certify, be sure that they were raised after December 19th, 2020, and prepare the gift certification form. Check the Administration of Challenge Grants document for additional information on eligible gifts. When your offer letter arrives, review it very carefully and note the dates for period of performance and schedule for certifying gifts. Check these dates against your work plan and any internal schedules your organization may have for the project. Make a note of any discrepancies, schedule a call with your program officer and grant management staff to discuss any terms and conditions and to begin the review process for Section 106 and/or NEPA if applicable. The project director and IGA must participate in the call. However, other team members or outside consultants or contractors, such as an architect, may certainly also join as appropriate. Most project directors find that it is most helpful to wait until the offer letter arrives before setting up a meeting. However, if you have immediate questions, please don't hesitate to contact NEH staff. And of course, contact us right away if your project plans have changed substantially since the application was submitted, or if you already have a change in project director or IGA. I hope this information provides a bit of a roadmap to what is coming next for your Infrastructure and Capacity Building Challenge Grant. Please know that each of us is here to help walk you through the offer and associated conditions, and to generally support your project as much as possible. We want to see you succeed, and we are looking forward to working with each of you as you move forward. Thank you for joining us today. My colleagues have been monitoring questions and will now spend a bit of time answering general inquiries that you have. Please continue to enter questions in the chat box, and don't forget to include your name and institution so we can respond directly if we run out of time or need to follow up after the webinar. I'll now turn it over to Stephanie Walker for questions.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much, John and Ann, for all the useful information. We have been monitoring questions while the webinar was going on, but no one has posed any questions, which makes me wonder if you are able to do that. So I'm not sure whether there are questions or whether the attendees are not able to pose them. Would anyone like to write a question into the live event Q&A box? Great. I see Katie Lee Coven is going to ask a question. And I see that Mary Cohn is testing Q&A, so it is working. That's great. I'll wait a little longer for you to actually pose a question. So I'm just going to read the questions out loud and so the first question to answer or offer a little extra information on is, can you clarify BABA, since our award is prior to May 14, 2022? I know we can't say very much about BABA yet, but Anne, do you want to respond to that question?
Sure. Thank you, Stephanie. So just to clarify is that you you are receiving an offer of an award prior to May 14th, 2022. NEH cannot make an award and obligate funds until the matching requirements, where you certify third-party non-federal gifts and meet the conditions of the offer letter, are made. So BABA may certainly apply if we don't get that all done before May 14th. And so essentially, BABA is new. We are in the process of getting more guidance on it. It is different than what we currently have, which is a strong encouragement for American-made steel and products. It's now a requirement, so it may apply to the construction contract itself. So we are still looking into the details of those requirements and how they relate, and we're awaiting some additional guidance from OMB, but you do want to be aware of it. And that's about all I can say at this point. We can discuss additional specific details to individual projects when we have the individually scheduled meetings. Stephanie?
Yeah, thank you very much, Anne. Yeah, I think the main takeaway is that we, oh, now two questions disappeared. What happened there? Sorry, the main takeaway regarding BABA is that we at NEH are also waiting for guidance, and you know, can't tell you much more than that. Than stay tuned. I remember there was a question about how does a party know whether their building is historic or will Um,
So Stephanie, if you
Yeah.
click on the published link,
oh, that's
you'll
where they
see
are.
them.
Right. Okay, so if we're not a historic landmark, how do we know if our project contains components related to Section 106? I think that's you, Anne, again. And the
Certainly.
next one too, if the project for which the grant was given is part of a larger project, how much work can they do?
So regarding the Carnegie Library, which I have looked at it, it's an amazing project, and we are very excited with it. So Section 106 does not, of the National Historic Preservation Act, does not make a distinction between national landmarks, or National Register listed, or local designations. It is any building that is over, that may be eligible, that may meet the eligibility criteria to be listed on the National Register of Historic Places. They don't actually have to be listed, which is why we have those different criteria for whether something might be an undertaking, because that gives us the flag, so to speak, to look at further at individual projects to see if they may be eligible for listing on the National Register. I can say that this project will require Section 106 compliance. You know, we are certainly available, to discuss specific details on 106 compliance when we get to that point. Regarding if the project is part of a larger project, can no work be done on any part of the project before the reviews are completed, or just specifically the portion of the project for the grant application? So it really is on a case-by-case basis. It does depend. I think if we know which project this is specifically, because I only have a first name, we can separately take a look, and then when we schedule our individual meetings, we can give you more details. If it's more urgent, please drop us an email or a phone call. But it really does depend. I will clarify that a project, as John indicated earlier, is the combination of the federal matching funds and the funds for which the third-party in-kind gifts funds are being spent. So because that confusion has arisen before, it is your total challenge project. But yes, there are instances where there is a discrete project within a larger project that NEH, Section 106 may not apply, and NEH has determined that. But again, it's on a case-by-case basis. Stephanie?
Yep, that sounds good. Thank you. So you've covered really both of the questions that are in the published area. I thought that one thing we might comment on additionally is when will people be receiving their offer letters? Pam, did you want to say anything about that?
Yes, you may receive your offer letters early February, by mid-February. So once you receive the offer letters, we'll probably the program officers and myself and Ann Peason will reach out to you to schedule a conference call to discuss any concerns you have.
Thanks very much, Pam. So, in the course of early to mid-February is what we're aiming for. Any other questions we can help you with right now? If not, I think we'll wrap things up for today. Remember, this webinar will be recorded and made available to you and you individually and on the NEH website. We will definitely send you a note when it's ready. But in the meantime, do not hesitate to reach out to the Talent Challenge team with any additional questions. We wish you the best of luck with your projects and have a good day.